Math 8, welcome back. So, as I mentioned, now we have one set of equations for multiplying and dividing. Same kind of process. We need things to move around the equation so we can get the variable out itself. Here though, we're not trying to make it equal 0, how we did for adding and subtracting. Here it's going to equal 1. But as we know, 1 times anything is that thing, and anything divided by 1 is that as well. Okay, so the 1 is still kind of just goes away. So when I look at example A, we have negative 3x equals 12. Now I already started with a little trick here. Okay, a lot of people see the negative here and they're like, oh, I need to add the 3. But you're looking what's happening between the number and the variable. Okay, right now this is a coefficient, which means it's being multiplied. So to cancel it out, I do the opposite of multiplication and I divide both sides by negative 3. Okay? Again, negative 3 divided by negative 3, that will give me a 1. So it's 1x, or just x, and that's why we can cancel them out. Okay? And then here, 12 divided by negative 3, well, positive divided by negative will give me a negative, and then 12 divided by 3 is 4. So my answer here is x equals negative 4. Okay? Reminder again, pause at any point to copy this down. Okay? Example B. Now you can see it starts looking a little different. Okay, this is why it's important to write these things down, because if all you do is copy this, it's going to look very similar to this. Okay, so you need to know where you're kind of starting from. So here it says n over 2, which means n divided by 2. Okay, anything written as a fraction is actually a form of division. Okay, so n divided by 2, I do the opposite and I multiply. Okay, so how I'll show that is I'll kind of write it to the side and I'll put the multiplication dot. Okay, and then we need to do it to the right side as well. Some people kind of just write it there and get rid of it, but you have to do it to the other side. Okay, you got to keep the equation kind of balanced. If you add something to one side, you got to add the same amount to the other side, and so on. So, again, you can cross them out on the left because it'll give you a 1. So we get n equals, negative times a positive is a negative, 6 times 2 is 12. So I get n equals negative 12. Okay? Similar to the last video, go ahead and try C and D on your own. Pause the video, obviously, try them, and we're going to go over them. So here we go. Okay, C, you notice the variable's now on the right side. That doesn't change anything at all. Okay, it doesn't mean you divide by 20. Okay, you always divide with the coefficient on the variable side. Okay, so the variable's on the right. I have 5a, so I need to divide by that 5 in order to get rid of it. Okay, so 5's cancel. It's a 1, so we can just write a. And then 20 divided by 5, it gives me a 4. So 4 equals a. That's exactly the same thing as a equals 4. There's no difference. It's the same thing. It might look different, but it's the same. Okay? And now for the last one. Okay? Another little trick in there. There's kind of a negative here. Whenever you see a negative, it doesn't matter where it's at. It could be on the P. It could be out front of everything. It could be on the 8. Okay, a negative fraction is a negative fraction. The negative can be anywhere in the fraction. As long as there's one negative, it's not going to change anything. Okay, but what you need to keep in mind is that negative needs to kind of go with the 8. It doesn't matter where it's at, because when you multiply, that negative needs to come with the 8 because you want this to be a 1. If I multiply by just 8, I would have negative 1 still. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides by that negative 8. Okay, so now the negatives and the 8s will give me a 1. So I have p left over. So we get p equals, negative times a negative gives me a positive 16. Okay, and those are our one-step equations. The next thing we're going to be doing is two-step equations, which is simply putting this with the previous video, adding and subtracting, where you'll do one first, then the other, and you'll get the same type of answers. And those are just basic two-step equations, which are kind of like the foundation of any equation, because we should be able to do those no matter what they look like. Okay, that's for today. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time.